She was the last unsold alien girl, untameable, dangerous, until one human paid the price. Ryan Stone stood at the edge of the pit, the sour smoke of burned incense curling around his scarred face. The slave auction on Darren Outpost was a gutter of misery, where the last scraps of sentience fetched a few credits before being tossed to rot in the mines or brothels of the Rim. His gaze drifted over ragged figures on the stage, broken men, trembling younglings, a reptilian creature barely breathing. The gavel crashed, lot after lot sold, but Ryan barely blinked. Then she stepped onto the platform. She was small, even frail by the looks of her limbs, but coiled beneath that fragile frame was something wild. Her silver-white hair hung in tangled braids, half hiding the tattoos along her neck and collarbone. Dark, slitted eyes scanned the crowd not with fear, but with smoldering contempt. The auctioneer barked, "Final lot. Untamed, dangerous, feral, sold without guarantee." The crowd shifted, uncomfortable. Bids trickled in, only to falter. A bruiser in a scaled jacket laughed and shook his head. Another bidder leaned forward, then recoiled when she bared sharp teeth in a defiant snarl. Ryan's fingers curled tighter around the chipped glass of his drink. He had come here for replacement parts, maybe cheap muscle if the price was right, not trouble. But something in her stare sparked an old, reckless part of him that war memories hadn't quite burned away. "No takers," the auctioneer growled, sweating under the harsh lights. "Very well." She goes to the grinder. 500 credits, Ryan called out, voice gravelly from cheap whiskey and cheaper air recyclers. Heads turned. Even the girl froze, her gaze darting to the human who had just sealed her fate. The auctioneer blinked, then slammed the gavel. "Sold." Ryan exhaled, as though realizing what he'd done a heartbeat too late. They shoved her at him, wrists bound, head held high despite grime and blood at the corner of her mouth. Up close, Ryan noticed tiny runes inked into her skin and a faint shimmer beneath the dirt, like moonlight caught on old scars. "Name?" Ryan asked as they led her toward his battered freighter, the Iron Resolve. She spat, a perfect arc landing by his boot. "Not yours to speak." Ryan smirked. "All right, not yours. Try to keep up." Through the market's narrow alleys, the girl stalked beside him in silence, muscles tense like a cornered predator. Vendors hawked glowing fruit, vials of narcotics, even alien fetuses floating in murky fluid. Somewhere, a merchant's cage rattled with sobbing children. Ryan ignored it all. His gut whispered danger. She wasn't just angry. She was waiting. For what he couldn't guess. At the ship's ramp, she lunged. Her bound hand struck for his throat. Ryan twisted, felt the corded strength in her arms as they crashed against a crate. Pain lanced through his ribs, but instinct kept his balance. One sharp twist, and he pinned her wrist against the metal hull. "Easy." He growled into her ear, breath ragged. "Try that again, and you'll ride in the brig, tied tighter." She hissed, muscles straining. But then she stilled, breathing hard, chest heaving. For a fleeting second, her eyes, so dark and alien, met his with something close to confusion. Then it was gone, and she jerked her chin away. Ryan released her, panting. "Welcome aboard," he muttered. Inside, the Iron Resolve smelled of oil, scorched circuitry, and sweat. Ryan's crew gathered in the hold, eyes wary. Lisa, his pilot, crossed her arms. "Captain, what the hell is this?" "Insurance," Ryan answered, voice low. "She was cheap." "She's trouble," growled Dax, the engineer, a boulder of a man with cybernetic implants trailing like metal veins across his skull. "We've got cargo. We don't need a feral girl biting through our throats while we sleep." The girl stood rigid, eyes locked on each new voice. Ryan stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You got a name?" Slowly, through clenched teeth, she rasped, "Kaela." "All right, Kaela. You don't try to kill my crew. We won't throw you out an airlock." She flinched, not from the threat, Ryan thought, but the casual certainty in his tone. He could see she'd heard that threat before. He felt a flicker of guilt, quickly buried. They lifted off just before dusk, the outpost shrinking behind them into an amber smudge. Ryan slumped into the captain's chair, staring at Kaela on the monitor. She sat in the spare bunk, shoulders tense, head low but eyes unbroken. Lisa's voice crackled through the calm. "Captain, got word. Bounty on a silver-haired alien girl, untameable, dangerous, escaped from a lab. Price is high enough to tempt devils." Ryan rubbed his temple. "Of course. How much?" 10,000, dead or alive." His gaze drifted back to Kaela's file. Experimental subject, probably. Some corpo lab out in the void, breeding living weapons. "Keep it quiet," he ordered. "We'll see what she's really worth." 2 days later, trouble found them. They were refueling at a silent orbital dock when 3 mercenary craft dropped out of FTL, black hulls bristling with cannon ports. The first volley slammed into their shields, sending Ryan sprawling across the deck. "Move," he barked, blood seeping from a fresh gash above his brow. In the chaos, Kaela broke free from her guards, bolting down the passageway. Ryan chased her through smoke and flickering lights, boots ringing against grated steel. She ducked into the engine bay and froze. Ahead, a mercenary in red armor aimed a pulse rifle at her chest. Ryan dove in, firing first. The bolt cracked into the merc's helmet, dropping him in a twitching heap. Kaela stared, shock tearing through her fierce mask. Ryan grabbed her wrist. "Wanna live? Follow me." She hesitated, then ran after him. In the hold, Dax was shouting over the comm, "Shields at 15. Engines failing." Ryan skidded to the console. "Lisa, get us out." Kaela stepped closer, gaze fixed on the failing shield readouts. Her tattoos glowed faintly, pale lines pulsing with light. "What are you doing?" Ryan demanded. "I can help," she whispered, voice trembling. "But it'll hurt." Ryan's jaw tightened. "Do it." She pressed her palms against the console. The glow flared, runic light racing from her fingertips into the circuitry. The deck vibrated, metal singing like a struck bell. Sparks burst from the conduits, but the shield surged back to 40%. Outside, the merc ships reeled back, bolts sizzling harmlessly against their reinvigorated shields. Ryan watched, half in awe, half in horror, as Kaela staggered, blood seeping from her nose. He caught her before she collapsed. They escaped, engines sputtering into FTL. Later, in the med bay, Kaela lay pale but breathing. Ryan sat beside her, silent. When her eyes opened, he spoke first. "You saved us." "I didn't want to die," she rasped, voice raw. "And you didn't sell me." He almost laughed, but it came out a tired sigh. "Was tempted, believe me. 10,000 credits buys a lot of quiet sunsets." Kaela's gaze didn't waver. "Then why not?" Ryan leaned back, staring at the ceiling's cracked panel. "Because I've done worse things in the past, and this time, I couldn't." Silence stretched between them, heavy but not hostile. She shifted, pain etched on her features. "You still don't trust me." "No," he admitted. "But you bought yourself time. That's something."